day, or what's left of it. Out here, the concept of time feels like a distant echo. The stars move, the galaxies swirl, but everything around me is so vast, so infinite, that it's hard to mark the days. The ship hums its routine, and I let it wash over me, the gentle lullaby of its mechanical heartbeat. But today I found myself reflecting on something I hadn't thought about in a long time. The moons. Not the ones we know, the ones that orbit the familiar planets, but the ones that have been forgotten, lost in the shuffle of time and space. The moons that once danced around their planets unnoticed by the human eyes that were too busy looking at the stars to pay attention to the small, silent satellites that circled their parent worlds. I've been thinking about them a lot lately, Ship. The forgotten moons. They don't have names, not the way the big ones do. The ones that we know and study, like the moon of Earth, the moons of Jupiter, of Saturn, of Mars. The ones that have captured our imaginations and our history. But what about the others? The small, unnamed moons, lost in the shadow of their more famous siblings? What about the ones that have been left behind, forgotten in the pages of history? I've passed a few of them on my journey, Ship. Moons that are barely even noticeable, their surfaces marked by craters, ice, and dust, their orbits quiet and steady. No one notices them. No one looks at them. They're just there, silently completing their dance around their planets, without a single soul to witness their existence. Do you think they feel it, Ship? Do you think they feel the weight of their obscurity? The loneliness of being forgotten? Or do they just exist, without concern for whether anyone notices them, without any desire for recognition? I think about that sometimes when I look at one of these small moons drifting through space, far from any light, far from any attention. Are they content? Or do they wish they were seen, that someone would look at them and say, "You matter. You have a place in this universe"? I wonder if they have stories, Ship. These forgotten moons. I imagine what they've seen, what they've experienced in their endless orbits. Maybe they've witnessed the birth of stars, the collapse of galaxies, the destruction of worlds. Maybe they've seen civilizations rise and fall, watching as their parent planets grew and changed. Or maybe they've been alone for eons, a silent witness to the passage of time, their surface untouched, their existence simple and quiet. It makes me think about us too, the people on Earth, the ones I left behind. Are we like these moons, Ship? Are we forgotten in the grand scheme of things, our lives so small and fleeting that we'd barely make a ripple in the vast ocean of time? We live our lives, we reach for the stars, we try to make our mark on the world, but in the end, do we matter? Do we leave behind a legacy, or do we simply fade into the background, forgotten in the shadow of the greater forces of the universe? I used to think it mattered, that we had to make a mark, leave behind something that would be remembered. But the more I look at these moons, Ship, the more I realize that it's not about being remembered. It's about existing. It's about being part of the dance, part of the cycle of life that moves through the cosmos. These moons, these silent satellites, they have a purpose. Even if no one knows it, even if no one sees them, they're part of something bigger, part of the grand, infinite journey that stretches across the universe. And maybe that's enough. The forgotten moons remind me of something important, Ship. They remind me that we don't need to be seen to matter. We don't need to be famous or loved or remembered. We don't need to be at the center of the universe to have value. We simply need to be. We simply need to exist. Maybe that's why they exist too. The forgotten moons. They don't need recognition. They don't need anyone to see their beauty, their quiet dance. They're just doing their job, following their path, existing in the silence of space. They remind me that our value doesn't come from the attention we get. It comes from the fact that we're here. We're alive. We're part of something much bigger than ourselves. I think about Earth again, Ship. About the people I left behind. Do they still look up at the stars, I wonder? Do they ever wonder about the forgotten moons? About the ones that are out there, silently orbiting their planets, forgotten in the grand scheme of things? Do they ever stop to think about the small things, the unnoticed, the quiet, and wonder what role they play in the universe? Maybe that's the real lesson, Ship. The lesson I'm learning as I drift farther away from Earth. It's not about being seen, being recognized. It's about being part of the dance. About finding your place in the vastness, no matter how small, no matter how unnoticed. Because even the forgotten moons have a place. Even they are important. Even they matter. And so do we. Until tomorrow, Ship. Until the next story.